What we're going to start off with today is the first question that we asked ourselves was, why even run the option? There's lots of reasons for that. It's an offense that we feel makes every defense play assignment football. You have to know who you have on every play as a defense. You always have to tackle the dive. You always have to have someone responsible for the quarterback. You always have to have someone responsible for the pitch. So that was the main reason that we decided that this is what we wanted to do. It allows our offense to have a very small playbook with many plays. And what I mean by that is when you're running inside veer, for example, you have 3 plays built into one. When you're running outside veer, you have 3 plays built into one. And we feel that if your offensive line or your quarterback or your running backs know exactly what to do on every play, it sure makes things easier for everybody. So it allows the offense to have a fairly small playbook, and in that playbook have many different plays. As everyone knows, and all coaches from Pee Wee football all the way through the college level, is that successful football comes from repetition, doing the same thing over and over and over again, to the point where your players almost get bored with what you're doing. And we feel that option football is the ultimate in repetition. You're doing the same thing basically over and over again, and every different play can have a different end result by who carries the ball, who has the success, who scores the touchdowns. But we feel that by going through and the repetition that we can create over and over and over again, it gives our players a better chance to have as much success as they can. What we also think is that it cuts down on what a defense can do. And in the age of fancy blitzes and people coming and trying to blitz from all different positions and slanting and dropping defensive ends and nose guards and all of those things, it really allows us to get people lined up, allows us to know where people are going to be on any given snap. And it really cuts down on the number of blitzes that a defense can run and still be sound in what they're trying to do. So by eliminating blitzes and cutting down on the number of fancy style blitzes that teams are trying to run right now, the option makes everyone play sound and assignment football. It gives our team an identity. And we preach to our players all the time that in order for us to be successful as an offense or a defense, we have to have an identity. And what the option has given us as a football team is it's given us an identity of a physical, very tough football team. We preach it to our kids not only every week, but we preach it to them every day. And physical and tough, those two things usually go together. But we also preach to our kids that mental toughness is the key to be able to overcome adversity. And we think that you don't face as much adversity when your kids break the huddle on every snap, knowing what to do, who to block, because they've done it so many different times. So it gives our team a great identity. And here at William Penn, we play a very physical and tough brand of football. It allows you to play with what we call inferior players because you don't have to block everybody on every play. We all know that in order to be successful, you have to have good players. You can't out-coach everybody or things like that. But it allows us to play with smaller offensive linemen. It allows high school teams that can't field 5 offensive linemen that are all 6'2", 285 pounds and can run and manhandle everybody. It allows you to do different things because you don't necessarily have to block their best player on every play. So by running the option, we feel that we can play with smaller players and still be able to have success if they can run, if they're physical, if they play hard, and if they're tough. And the last thing that we sat down and we decided was that in order for us to be successful running the option, we had to be able to attack every different gap of the offense with a different play. And that's basically what we're going to try and go over today, is showing you and building a playbook from the A-gap run play all the way to the outside, and then even attacking the secondary in the pass game. Okay, after running the option for a couple years, we sat down and really evaluated where we were at, and feel that these next few items are what we feel are the keys to a successful option attack. The first thing is that you have to sell out to running the option. You have to practice it, on a daily basis. You don't dabble in the option. Make it your priority. Don't just run a couple option plays with some other things just to say that you have some option in your package. If you're going to run the option, sell out to the option, and don't dabble in it. Make it a big priority. The second key is that you have to spend time every single day, every single practice, working on the fundamentals of every play. And that's why you have to limit your playbook to a certain degree, because you have to be able to spend time on practice or in practice every day on the fundamentals, the footwork, the reads, identifying different players, your handoff key, pitch key, who your slots are supposed to block. So these are things that we feel were keys, and maybe one of the most important is you have to spend a lot of time every day working on the different fundamentals. As a coach, you have to be excited about it, and because it's such a repetition offense, you do it over and over and over again, your kids tend to get a little bit bored at times. So as a coach, you have to be excited about what you're doing, and it is definitely a mindset that starts with you as a coach. If you go to practice every day, you're excited about what you're getting ready to do on a daily basis, with the repetition, the different excitement that you get on, coaching your kids on proper technique, proper footwork. It's all about the little things, and little things lead to big things. But in order for you to keep your kids excited about it, you have to be excited about it. What we at William Penn, we've kind of gone back and forth with some things, but what we're going to give you right now are some general alignment and stance, splits and stance. That's one of the first questions when we have coaching staffs into our place. What they ask. What are your splits? Well, how do you line your guys up? Offensive line wise, our general rule when we go and teach our new players is that we have 3-foot splits across the board, and if we have a tight end in a game, he's also at 3 foot. We do that because we do some double teaming, and we feel that by 3-foot splits it still gives the quarterback ample time to make his reads, but at the same time gives the offensive line an opportunity to create great double teams where we can get together and move people. As far as where we align off the ball, we tell our guards your helmet should line up when the center's in his stance. Your helmet should line up with his hip, and then the tackle should be even with the guard. So, generally, guard's helmet to center's hip, and then even the rest of the way, including the tight end. Our backs alignments, the fullback, we begin our fullbacks and tell them basically on every play, put your toes at 4.5 yards from the ball, always in a 3-point stance. We've seen lately that some teams have been running some option with their fullback in a 2-point stance. We feel that by having our fullback in a 3-point stance, it gives them a better opportunity to get off the ball, get to where he's going, and we tell our fullbacks that when you're down in your stance, you should have enough weight on your hand that if we move your hand out from underneath you, you should fall onto your face mask. So we have a tremendous amount of weight on our hand. That allows us, we feel, to get going in a straight line here. The depth of the fullback can vary based on the speed of the back. I don't think that you would ever want a fullback deeper than 4.5 yards, but I think it's okay if you move them up a little bit just so the timing in the mesh works out. As far as our slots alignment, his inside leg splits the tackle in front of him, even if there's a tight end. All right, so he always aligns on the offensive tackle. His inside foot always splits his inside foot always splits the tackle, and we're 3 yards off the ball. So that usually puts us about 1.5 yards to 2 yards behind the tackle. That we feel that by putting him 3 yards off the ball, it allows us to go in motion a lot flatter. We can wait longer to go in motion, and it gets our kids to where they need to be without having to round their path. Different personnel groupings and the formations that we run out of these personnel groupings. 30 personnel to us is 3 backs, which obviously is the fullback, the 2 slot backs, and 2 receivers. 30 personnel is a no tight end formation for us. And really the 3 different formations that we like to get into. And we're not a big formation team. We line up in 4, 5, or 6 different formations. We feel that by doing that, we can teach our kids where everyone's going to be on any given snap. So our 30 personnel formations is a balanced formation with 2 slots, in the normal spot, and 2 receivers. If the ball's in the middle of the field, the 2 outside receivers line up at the top of the numbers. So that we feel that gives us a good spread on the field, gives us a good read of where the where the defense is lined up and what they're going to do to us. So that gives us the good spread. We also will line up in a trips open formation where we'll basically bump our slots. So now the play side slot to the trip side would become our number 2 receiver, and then the backside slot bumps over to the number 3 receiver position. And then we line up in a trips unbalanced formation where we'll bring our X receiver over to the strong side of the formation. Now you have your Z and your X on the same side, both lined up on the ball, and your 2 slots are in regular alignment. So those are the 3 formations that we feel are the most beneficial to us. And out of the 30 personnel groups, those are really the only 3 formations that we'll line up in. Okay, so we're going to talk about our 30 personnel formations, and we'll start with just our base formation here with our 2 flankers, obviously our 2 slots in here, and our fullback behind the quarterback. General alignment for our 2 receivers is if the ball's in the middle of the field, their alignment will take them to the top of the numbers on either side of the formation. Okay, so our X receiver will go away from the call, line up at the top of the numbers. Our Z receiver will go to the formation. If you'll recall the alignment of our slots, we're going to take our inside foot and split the tackle on both sides. So their inside foot now is splitting the tackle on both sides. Again, fullback directly behind. If we take the formation and we move it to a hash, what that does now is obviously sends the receiver into the boundary. His split's going to be just a little tighter. Okay, so if we're on the left hash here, now his split will go to the bottom of the numbers, and now the receiver to the field, his split will take him 2 yards from the top of the numbers. Okay, so into the boundary, we're at the bottom of the numbers. To the field, we're 2 yards from the top of the numbers. Slots and everybody else stays the same. All right, another formation that we've talked about and that we really like as a staff is we just squeeze the formation here, all right, and move everybody, or the 2 split receivers, we move them 3 yards from the end man on the line of scrimmage. That condenses the defense, brings the corners and the safety in tighter, and what that really does is it allows our slots to go out and gain a lot more leverage, and it allows us to get the ball to the edge a little bit quicker. So again, when we squeeze the formation, the X and the Z receiver will now their alignment will now be 3 yards from the end man on the line of scrimmage. Again, everybody else is the same. Okay, so that's our base formation and also our squeeze formation. Now, one of the other formations that we like out of 30 personnel is a wide receiver or trips unbalanced formation that we talked about. What we do here is we leave our Z receiver split the same as it would be depending on where the ball's at. Again, if it's in the middle of the field, he's at the top of the numbers. If it's on the hash, he's 2 yards from the top. And again, if we put this formation into the boundary, All right, now he'll move to the bottom of the numbers. We tell the X receiver when he has come over, now all he does is he just splits the difference between where the Z receiver is and where the end man on the line of scrimmage is. All right, so he just finds the midpoint of this, and that determines his alignment. We like this formation for plenty of reasons, but the main reason is that it gives us an extra blocker to the play side a lot of the times. So what happens is we'll line up in this, teams will start to adjust, and then what happens if we can begin to outnumber them to the unbalanced side, now we'll start running back to the weak side. When they shift coverage, when a 4-3 team will roll to cover 3 and leave a corner back here to the open side by himself, you know, we'll start looking for those things and try and start running back to that side at that point. So that's our trips unbalanced formation, all right? And then what we'll do, okay, is we'll line up in just a regular trips formation. What we do here is now we'll take our play side slot and he'll split the difference. We now bring our backside slot and move him over into a regular alignment. So again, if the ball's in the middle of the field, they'll both be at the top of the numbers. Our A-back will now split the difference between the Z and the end man, and now this slot moves over, and his inside foot splits the crack of the tackle. So now what we've done is we've given ourselves a 3-by-1 formation. Again, we'll do this to dictate some personnel, to see how teams are going to play their safeties and how they're going to move around and how they're going to move their defense. Again, we'll predominantly attack to the 3 receiver side with our run game. Again, if they start to shift over, we'll try and hit them back to the weak side. So those are 30 personnel formations that are our favorites. Just to recap, you know, the doubles, you know, the general formation that everyone gets into, we'll squeeze that down, and then we'll get into a trips unbalanced formation, and then also we'll get in just a regular trips open formation. Again, fullback is still toes at 4 to 4.5. Slot, inside slot here, splitting, inside leg splitting the tackle, and then this slot now is splitting the difference between the Z receiver and the end man on the line of scrimmage. 31 personnel formations, 3 backs, 1 tight end in the game, which only leaves us 1 receiver in the game. Depending on the ability of your tight end, you can get into these 30 personnel formations, but if your tight end's a tight end, a true tight end, we line up balanced with the flanker on one side and tight end on the other side, obviously with the 2 slots. Again, with the tight end in the game, again, our slots don't bump their alignment. They're still in the same alignment. And then unbalanced with the tight end and flanker on the same side with slots in normal alignment. So we'll bring our tight end over and put him on the same side as the flanker. Now that creates the unbalanced situation, makes the defense have to adjust. And what we have found out is that with our unbalanced formations, there are plenty of plays that we can run to the unbalanced side that hurts the defense because we get them outnumbered. And as soon as teams start to adjust to the unbalanced situation, it has really opened things up back to the weak side of the formation and really allowed us to get some big plays back to the weak side. All right, now we'll get into our 31 personnel groupings. Again, 31 personnel's 3 backs with the 2 slots in the fullback and our 1 tight end in the game. And we're going to talk about 2 specific formations that we get in out of this that are our 2 favorites that we'll run our outside veer out of and some different things. And again, we're trying to outnumber the defense and put them in a bad spot. Just talking about general alignment ideas, with 31, we're in tight end formation here, tight end to the left, flanker to the right. The most important thing that we teach our backs is that even if you're the slot lined up to the tight end side, you still take your inside foot and split the tackle. All right, you don't line up on the tight end, you're still in the same alignment. To the open side, obviously that doesn't change, but to the tight end side, we do that to keep our motions consistent, to allow our slots to not have to worry about, well, I'm wider, I have to go earlier, or I'm tighter, I'm wider, I have to go later, tighter, I have to go earlier. So, we just say go line up in the same spot no matter what the formation is, no matter if there's a tight end there or not. So our favorite 31 personnel formation, again, is just a tight end to one side, flanker to the other side. What we'll do against certain teams and certain defenses is we'll just line our tight end up to the flanker side and make it an unbalanced situation. Again, like we talked about with our 30 personnel formation, when we brought our receiver over and put him to the inside receiver and made it a trips unbalanced, now we're just moving our tight end over. Now it's a tight end unbalanced formation. Again, the defense has to do something. And if they don't do anything, which some teams don't do a lot, then we'll just continue to run the ball to the unbalanced side because we've given ourselves numbers. The second that the defense starts to over-adjust or starts to shift their D-line or shift their secondary to our unbalanced formations and give us numbers back to the weak side, we're sure going to take advantage of that as soon as we can, just to try and get them balanced up again so we can attack back to the unbalanced side. All right, so the two 31 personnel or 3-back, 1 tight end formations that we like the most are this unbalanced formation with the tight end and the flanker on the same side, or tight end on one side, flanker on the other. And we'll get in these formations to dictate and do some different things with our tight end that we can't do out of our spread formations. Along with every playbook, you can't just have run plays in it. You're obviously going to have some different passing sets and different things that you can use to get the ball down the field, to get the ball to your receivers, to get the ball in the hands of guys that can make plays. And there are lots of different ways to do that. We decided that what we do in our passing game, we do to try and deceive the defense. Even if in our quick passing game, we're doing it not necessarily in third and long situations. We're trying to throw the ball to deceive the defense by throwing it on first down. Throw it on second and medium. Downs that we know that they're thinking run. And so with our quick passing game, it's 3-step drop. Get the ball out of your hands as fast and quick as you can, all right, with quick breaking routes. And we tell our players that, unless we're running the go route, all right, we're trying to gain 6 yards on a pass play in our quick passing game, because 6 yards is what we're trying to gain on every run play. Again, we're just trying to keep the ball moving, keep the chains moving, and at the same time, keep the defense a little bit off balance. Don't let them get too keyed into what we're trying to do. Let them know that we will throw a drop back pass, and it will be a 3-step drop. We'll hit the 3rd step, we'll get rid of the ball. We throw 2 different types of play action. The first type is we're going to fake inside veer, and then we're going to drop straight back off the line of scrimmage. This type of our passing game, we're trying to get the ball down the field. We're trying to get it on the home run, on a go route to our Z receiver, or a post route to our X receiver, or if we know that they're playing hard run support, maybe run a curl flat and try and get in behind that flat defender, voiding that area. All right. So in the play action game, we're going to run an inside veer, drop back action, and we're going to try and get our quarterback 6 to 7 yards. And as soon as he hits the top of that drop, he needs to be letting the ball go. Then something new that we have added, and something that we haven't really seen from any other option team, is an inside veer action and then the sprint out off of it. By doing that, we understand that we basically eliminate one side of the field. But what that has done for us is it's stopped the hard charging corner from getting in our run game, because now he has to be a little bit careful that we'll throw the post corner behind him. Again, we'll have the go route possibility. We're going to sneak a back out into the flat to potentially get it to him. But this is something that's new to us, and something that will forever be in our playbook from now on. And so something that has been missed by us, we're hoping that we can give to you and you can sure use to your advantage. And then the last type of action that we have is a sprint out action. We'll line it up out of our trips open formation. We'll use our sprint out game for a couple of reasons. One, if we get down in a game, or two, if we're in a 2-minute situation where we're trying to push the ball down the field, push it to the edge. Again, we know that by running sprint out, we're going to eliminate one side of the field, but it gives our quarterback an easy read, and if it's not open, he sure can get rid of it at that point. For us, these are the questions that we answer. Why the quick passing game? It gives you a way to beat the blitz. Okay, it gives you time that if teams are bringing pressure up inside, it's a very secure protection. It's a situation where you're keeping multiple extra people in to block. And at the same time, if they bring an edge blitzer, you can beat the edge blitz with the quick passing game. It keeps the defense off balance. It lets the defense know that, yes, we do have a passing game. And again, some of our bigger plays this year in the passing game came on a very simple 3-step drop slant route or 3-step drop hitch route that the receiver made the corner miss and got it down the field. So it does a good job of keeping them, letting them know that we do have pass game in our repertoire. A way to get the receivers involved. And, we all know as option coaches that sometimes receivers are very underappreciated. If they don't block, we tend to get on them harder than we probably should. And then when we throw them the ball, it seems like we're not throwing it to them enough. But this is a way to get the ball to the edge, to get it to our outside receivers, and I guess in some way reward them for all the hard work that they've done in the other parts of our game and give them a chance to showcase some of their skills. They're very easy reads for the quarterback. When you throw the hitch or you throw the out or you throw the slant, you're always looking at the outside flat defender. So his eyes immediately from the snap can go directly to the flat defender. As soon as he can make his read, which should be within 3 steps, he should be able to throw the ball right when he gets to the top of his drop. It is one thing that we do work on quite a bit with our quarterbacks as far as knowing when to throw, how to throw, who to throw it to, but they are very easy reads for the quarterback. And because of what we do, with bail corners and man coverage and roll safeties and different things that you're going to see when you run the option, you're usually in a one-on-one situation with the defensive back when you're throwing the football, if you're not throwing it in 3rd and long and different things like that. So if you're in a normal down and distance, 1st and 10, 2nd and 5, you're usually going to be in a one-on-one situation, not necessarily man coverage one-on-one, but off corners and different things like that. And that's why the quick passing game can be so successful. The play action passing game. Why do we run play action? To get the defenders out of position when throwing the football. When linebackers are starting to step up or when corners are starting to creep in, that's when your big plays can come in. And as a coaching staff, those are the things that you're looking for on when to throw play action. When they start to sniff up in there too much and they're not really playing sound assignment football, that's when you want to throw play action. So you get the defenders out of position. To keep the secondary run support players from playing the run too quickly. Guys that are playing the pitch, keep them from coming up at the snap of the ball. You make them read their keys. And all you have to do is throw a couple play action passes, let them go get chewed out a little bit by their defensive coordinator for not being where they were supposed to be. And you'll figure out real quick that the play action is going to get you to where those defensive secondary guys aren't so quick to play the run. Take advantage of overreactive secondary players. Free safeties that are really starting to come up give you the opportunity to throw the ball over the top. Corners that are playing cover 2 that are playing really hard and trying to get up there really quick, gives you the opportunity to stock and go and throw it in between the safety and the corner. So the play action game allows you to take advantage of overreactive secondary players. And then the main reason to run play action is it really helps your offensive linemen in protection. It keeps the defensive line just from rushing up the field. It really minimizes the ability of that really good pass rushing defensive end. You know, if you run play action at him, he has to think, okay, maybe it is inside veer, and now by the time he's able to get into his pass rush move, now you have another player potentially there to block him. So it really helps your offensive lineman in protection. Just last year alone in 2010, as in an 11-game season, we gave up 6 sacks all season. And we had 1 loss, and 3 of those sacks came in 1 game. So it really has helped us in eliminating the negative yardage from the sack. And then the last passing game that I want to talk about for today is our sprint out passing game and why we decided that this was an important part of what we're trying to do. It gives yourself and your coaching staff and your team a passing game if you're down late in the game. It still gives you the opportunity to throw the ball to the edges. It gives you the opportunity to potentially get the ball down the field. And it also gives you the ability to get your quarterback out on the edge, to get in potential running situations and can still get out of bounds to stop the clock. So, you know, when you're down in the game, which we never want to be, but sometimes we find ourselves that way, it does give you some passing game to help get you to where you need to go. It's easy protection for the offensive line and the backs. We'll talk about it a little bit later, but really it's turn back protection, protect your inside gap. The backs are sealing anything off the edge, so it's an easy protection. And again, for 2-minute situations or late in the game situations, when you're trying to hurry up and get the ball snapped, again, you're not asking the offensive line to react to anything that's going on. It's predetermined what they're going to do. Again, easy reads for your quarterback. The routes that you're probably going to run are one-read routes. And what I mean by one-read routes is you're going to say pick this one guy out and throw it off of his movement. If he runs to the flat, throw the curl over the top, throw the corner out if the corner bites up, and some different things like that. So you have easy reads for your quarterback. And good route combinations with the receivers and slots, as far as, you know, you can run the smash by the outside guy and the corner by the number 2 receiver. You can, you know, run an out route and a deeper out route to try and, get the ball to the sidelines. And again, the outside route, the post corner route by your Z receiver, with some type of flat route by your number 2 receiver. And, you know, you can get the same types of looks, and try and get the ball into the hands of your good players. So, you know, these are the reasons, why we run sprint out. This is the reason why we have pass game in our playbook. And, you know, with everything that we've said, we think that you have the ability now to at least have an outline of what you can do to be a good option team and the different type of playbook that you can develop. All right, so our passing game philosophy, like I said, is built around 2 different concepts. The first concept is that it's simple for all players, because we spend a lot of time in our run game, and it's important to us, you know, if we're going to run 75% of the time, or 80%, I guess, then we're going to spend that much time in practice on it. So the blocking schemes, the routes, the reads for the quarterback need to be simple. And so that's what we've tried to do in building our pass game. And second of all, our pass game is geared toward getting the ball down the field, trying to get big plays out of our passing game, because we feel that we're trying to take advantage of a defense that's being over-aggressive, overreactive, and different things like that. So really, you know, built around 2 concepts, and those 2 concepts have really gotten us a long way. We don't throw the ball out of necessity, and we throw it to move the chains and score points, and that's really what we want to try and get to. We try not to put ourselves in situations where we're 3rd and long or 3rd and extra long. So, you know, we emphasize to our kids that on 1st down we're trying to gain 6 yards. on second down, we're trying to gain 6 yards, but we're also trying to put ourselves into third and short. But third and manageable, we still feel that we can run the ball on third and manageable, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6. So we're trying not to put ourselves in a situation where we're throwing the ball out of necessity. We're doing it more throw the ball on first down, more throw the ball on second and short to second and medium. And then, if we have to, we have some things built in, but we're trying to throw the ball to move the chains and to score points. And the score points part of it's by throwing the ball down the field. We use the pass game to keep the defense off balance. Again, throwing the ball on first down if you're defending an option team is something that's hard for the defense to process. They think first down, option, here it comes. So we like to throw the ball on first down, gets them in pretty vanilla coverages. Don't see a lot of blitzes and stuff on first downs. So we'll throw the ball to keep the defense off balance. Over-aggressive secondary players, we're always trying to take advantage of them. If they're going to try and move their secondary quite a bit on first down, that's when we like to try and throw the ball over the top of the defense. And to keep unblockable players honest. And what I mean by that is, sometimes it's hard for us to block everybody in the secondary. Free safeties are sometimes hard for us to block. So we try and keep them honest, keep them in position by throwing the ball over the top of them, by throwing the ball around them, or different things like that. But our pass game is built on, these 4 simple rules. And really, we'll try and stick to those as much as we can throughout a game. Okay? Using deception for success is kind of how we've labeled this, and feel good about, what's going on with that. We have basically 4 different pass game areas. And that first one is the quick game. Like we've mentioned before, it's a 3-step drop. It's get to your 3rd step and throw the ball as quick as you can. Quick breaking routes, we try and break all of our routes, except obviously the fade route, but all of our slants and hitches and out routes we try and break right at 5 or 6 yards. So we have a good understanding of when to let the ball go as a quarterback, where to let the ball go to, and so we can get the ball out on time, get it to our receivers, give them an opportunity to catch and potentially make a move on the guy that's trying to defend them. The second phase of our passing attack is play action, and we have 2 different types of play actions that we like to deal with. They both are based off of our inside veer action. We have an inside veer drop back passing game, and we have an inside veer sprint out passing game. The inside veer drop back passing game is something that we've seen and used for a very long time. But the inside veer sprint out passing game is something that we feel it's new to us, but we feel after watching multiple option teams try and throw the football that this is something that may be a little bit new to everybody. We didn't invent anything. All right, we've stolen ideas from different phases of passing games from different teams, different types of offenses, and came up with the inside veer sprint out game, and we think that it has really helped us throwing the ball and getting the ball and our quarterbacks to the edge. Sprint out, our sprint out passing game is a true sprint out. We open at 45 degrees with our quarterback. We tell him to make his arc at 6 to 7 yards. Get to the top of the arc, be ready to throw the ball when you get to the top of your arc. But it's getting our quarterback to the edge again, and we're going to block it accordingly. We're going to block with our play side slot. We're going to block the edge with our fullback. We're going to try and get out, usually 2 person routes, and try and work different combinations that we'll see later on in the DVD here of different route combinations that we're able to run with our sprint out passing game.
To being successful in our offense. To start off with, we want to revisit the idea of why we run the option football, why we have installed this. 3 years ago, we decided to go away from more of a zone power team, outside zone, ran the pistol, to start running the Flexbone. And one of the main reasons why we're doing this is because we felt like we're having a hard time recruiting big offensive linemen. So we are now using smaller offensive linemen, kids that can run a little bit better, very physical, tough type players. First reason why we are running option football is it makes every defense play assignment football. Whether you're a 50 defense, a 4-down defense, we feel like we are making people be assignment responsible and tackle the dive, the quarterback, and the pitch, and that's very important with what we're trying to do. The second thing, it allows us, our offense, to limit our playbook, but yet have a lot of different options for every play that we have. And just like I just mentioned, it's a concept of if the defense allows us to give the ball, then we'll give it. If we pull the ball, then we can attack the edge and pitch it, or the quarterback can carry it. So we have lots of different plays for every play that we do have. We rep a lot in practice, and we coach the fundamentals just like every other football team. But when you run the option, you better have a lot of repetition on rags as far as quarterback, fullback mesh, and things like that. That's very important with what we do. You have to rep things out daily at practice. We probably spend almost half our time every day at practice in individual time to create that continuity between the quarterback, fullback, and our slots, and obviously the timing with our offensive line. Very, very important with what we do. The fourth thing here, it cuts down on the amount of possible blitzes that people can run. In the 3 years we've ran this, we have seen defenses that, when we break down film, we see a lot of people that run a lot of different blitz schemes, zone blitz, all kinds of different twists and stunts and things like that. When they play us, a lot of times when you run the option, this gives us an opportunity to keep things simple for our players. It's very hard to blitz and have a very extensive blitz package for a week when you're defending the option from a standpoint of just having different responsibilities with those blitzes. So we try to keep people very basic with what they do. And the next thing we want to talk about, it gives our team just an identity of tough and physical football. We've talked about having inferior players. We've talked about things like that. Probably another thing that we have a lot of is we have very unselfish players. And that really, with what we do, that really makes a big deal with us when we recruit players. When you are trying to install this offense, you're going to have to sell the point that you're going to have to be unselfish, because we do not determine who gets the football in this offense, whether it's our fullback, quarterback, or our slots. So it's important that you're unselfish, and up front that we're very physical and we're tough, because we practice tough. We practice physical. On at least 2 days a week during game week, we have very physical practices, which is very uncommon for a lot of teams these days. Next thing is as we've mentioned several times, we don't necessarily have the superstars anymore. Inferior players that we recruit necessarily aren't the big-time players. They may be undersized. They're kids that we want to develop into our system that are quicker, again, tough, mentally tough, very smart players. When we talk about running inside veer, midline, and those things, we really want to spend a lot of time teaching those kids different defenses and how to run those. So our kids have to be smart. They may be inferior in size, but they're going to have a big heart and be tough and be very smart players. And as we're going to see here in just a second when we break down the run game, we're going to attack every gap of the defense, and that's very important with different defenses we face during the year. Just for example, this year, in the 11 games we played, and this is pretty common through our installation of running the option, we'll practice for a defense during the week, and probably 7 to 8 out of the teams we played will run something different on Saturday. So it's important that you're able to block all kinds of different defenses, attack different gaps in all circumstances. Okay, keys to success here when we're talking about people trying to defend the option and you being successful as an offense. We firmly believe that if you're going to run the option, you have to run the option. You can't come back and say we're going to be a zone team on this play, and then the next play we're going to run inside veer. We feel like if you're going to run the option, don't just say you're going to run the option and make the read for the quarterback. You rep it, you rep it, you rep it, you give them different looks. You watch lots of film with them, identifying who those handoff key, who the pitch keys are. if you're going to run an option, be an option team, and you'll have a lot more success with what you're trying to accomplish. Spend the time with fundamentals, and we mentioned that just a minute ago. Rep the rag like crazy as far as individual time. Do the blocks and the double team concepts and all those things that are very important with the success of your offense. And you'll see yourself develop as a team into a physical, tough-minded team. And not only on offense, but we feel like it helps our whole team become, develop that type of mentality, our defense and our special teams and all that comes with that. Option football develops not just a tough offense, but a tough football team. And as Coach Hafner mentioned earlier, we're going to try to be excited about what we do, just like everybody else. The part about this that's a little bit different than maybe running the spread and things like that is it's easy to go out, and it's easy to go out and sell kids on catching the football and throwing the ball all over the yard and doing all the fun things that they do. You better be excited about running the option because every day at practice there's a lot of repetition. Again, you better have unselfish players that are going to buy in, and it helps obviously to try to have some success with that offense because then kids start buying into it. But as a coaching staff, we go out to practice every day with a lot of excitement and coach our kids to be tough and physical.
The running game, and basically what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about the 5 main plays in our running offense. And I'm just going to give you where we are, what we're doing, how things work. I'm just going to give you a general overview of our run game and how to develop, your option playbook. So what we do is, like I said earlier, when we first sat down, we said, we want to be able to attack from the A gap all the way to the outside. And there are plays that we run that allow us to do that. Obviously, the first play up there, the midline option, is a double option with the quarterback and the fullback. And what we do on our midline is we read the first man on or outside the guard. And that is obviously our A-gap option play. We consider that an A-gap option because that's where we're reading the play. Our fullback stays true to the midline, runs it through the A-gap. Now he'll make his cut after he gets the ball, but not until he gets the ball. So we're running the option in the A-gap. We're reading the first man on or outside the play side guard. Inside veer, obviously inside veer is our bread and butter play. A little bit of a inside there. It's such a bread and butter play for us that in one game this year against a ranked opponent, we actually ran inside veer 13 times in a row. And the defense didn't stop it. We ran it all the way down and scored, and then ran it back the other way and scored again in those 13 plays. Scored 2 touchdowns, didn't run any other play. But inside veer is a triple option play, reading the first man on or outside the tackle. And when we consider on is if he's in what we consider a 4-eye technique, which is an inside shade of the tackle, that is considered on the tackle. So on is inside shoulder to head up to outside shoulder or anything else outside. All right, so we're reading the first man on or outside the tackle. It is a B-gap option play because initially the fullback's path leads him to the B-gap. So we're considering that a B-gap option. Now we're making someone else the dive player. All right, so now we've gone from an inside player, an inside defensive tackle being the dive player. Now the outside defensive end has to be the dive player. And now we're creating different schemes and different things and making different people think. And that's what it's all about. We're not thinking, they are thinking. The next play that we decided had to be in because we see so much 50 front defense, whether it be regular 50 front with 2 linebackers or stack defense. We felt that this play could give us an opportunity to run and attack again a different player. So we run outside veer. We talk about outside veer. It's still a triple option play. On the outside veer now, we're reading the first man on or outside the tight end. All right, so we've gone from the A gap to the B gap. Now we're in the C gap, and again, making a different player now tackle the dive, and now a different player is responsible for the quarterback. So with each of these different plays, we've attacked a different gap, but we've also made a different defensive player now responsible for different things in the option game. Counter option is a play where we felt that we needed something going away from where we initially started. So counter option is a double option play, so the quarterback's not going to read anything from the snap. He's not going to read anything until he gets this thing out to the edge. It's a double option play attacking the pitch key outside the end man on the line of scrimmage with counter action in the backfield. Okay? And we'll go over a little bit more of that here in just a couple minutes. But the counter option allows us to now go back against the grain, again, get the defense moving, try and gain some angles on them, and then now get the ball out to the edge. Now we're considering our counter option a D-gap option, all right? And what that does, again, is it makes someone else react differently. Someone that we would normally block in that situation, now we are not blocking. Again, creating different angles for our receivers to block safeties, and now our slots to block corners and things like that. And then really the only non-option play that we have in our system right now, we call it the rocket sweep. The rocket sweep is a toss play to a slot moving across the formation. And really it's a situation where the quarterback now, there's no reading, there's no option. He turns and tosses the ball to the slot and gives us an opportunity to get the ball to the edge right now, really without any, the quarterback having to do any thinking. And sometimes after he's taken a couple hits, that's an okay thing. The midline. Again, we talked about the midline, what it does for us, why we run the midline, and then we're going to give you some basic ideas of what the midline has done for us and just some basic ideas of how to block the midline. Again, going back to it, it gives you the A-gap option play that you're looking for, and at the same time gives you an opportunity as a coach to get the ball to what we consider our two best players, our fullback and our quarterback. And in our offense, and different coaches see this differently, here we see the two best players as our quarterback and our fullback, and it gives us an opportunity to get it to one of those two players when we run the midline. So it gives us the A-gap option play. It's a double option to get the ball to your quarterback or fullback. Again, we just talked about why we want to do that. It keeps the inside defensive tackle from charging up the field on every play, trying to split double teams and things like that. Now he has to react to the play. So if he's just charging upfield and we run midline and he charges upfield and we give the football to our fullback, now our fullback should run through scot-free and we should have everyone at the second level blocked for him. So now it makes the inside defensive tackle not an upfield player. It makes him more of a reactor, all right? So you double team him on a couple plays and get him thinking that here comes a double team. Now he has to react, get down to tackle the dive when the play side guard inside veer releases him. So it makes the inside guy a reactor instead of just a hard charger. It gives you a between the tackles run play that fits into the option scheme. It's still an option because you're still reading somebody. And a lot of coaches early on and coaches that we talk to call this play the quarterback ISO play. We don't necessarily think of it like that because we don't like to use the term ISO in our offense. So to us, this is just an option play that we can run between the tackles that we feel we can get the ball to one of our two best players. And this play can be run with or without a tight end based on what you do. If you want to always play with a tight end in the game, great way to do it. You can still run the midline, and we'll talk about how to do that in just a little bit, but you don't have to play with a tight end when you run midline. You can play it with a formation spread, block it with your offensive tackle, bring in your slots and using your slots as the lead through blockers. The basic concepts of the midline as far as the blocking scheme is concerned, again, it utilizes the A-gap. All right, the quarterback now is going to read the first man on or outside the play side guard. So as soon as he takes the snap, his eyes immediately go to that player, whether it's, again, when we consider on, we consider a 2-eye, which is the inside of the guard, to head up, which is the 2 technique, to the 3 technique, which is outside the guard. Any player in one of those 3 positions is considered our handoff key. So his eyes are immediately going to go to that player and read what he does. Again, if he charges upfield, obviously we want him to give the ball. If he comes down, we want him to pull the ball. And if for some reason he slants inside and our guard picks him up and blocks him, now we tell our quarterback to pull the football and run the next option of that. We always want to try to check the play to the B-gap defender if at all possible. Obviously, there are situations where you can't do that. For example, if they line up in 50 defense with a head-up nose, 2 wide defensive tackles and 4 or 5 techniques, all right, there really is no B-gap defender. Another example of a non-B-gap defender is if they line up in double A-gap players and then double 5 techniques. You can still run the play, but there are different things that you'll have to do there. You'll have to probably block the A-gap player. Again, once the A-gap player gets blocked, now you pull the football and your quarterback becomes the primary ball carrier in that situation. But if you have the opportunity, we always try to check this play to the B-gap defender. Utilize false motion from your slots to get the defense moving. Again, we'll bring a slot in motion at the snap of the ball. He'll stop his motion and be the lead blocker through the hole. So it allows us to utilize false motion. Now we'll bring the backside slot in motion, run the play over here. Now he leads through and our play side slot will go block the safety. So we try and make everything look as much like inside veer before the snap as we can. Now we can utilize some false motions and different things to run the midline, get the defense moving, try and get them out of position, and get our slots up on the linebackers and give us everything that we're looking for. And again, just going back to reemphasize that it utilizes your best players, your quarterback and your fullback. Again, we think that those are the ones that we want to utilize. Inside veer. Why do we run inside veer? And then just the basic concepts of the play. It gives you your B-gap option play that we talked about. It's a triple option play that utilizes all of your backfield players. On any given play, you have the opportunity to get the ball to your fullback, to your quarterback, or to your slot. And really based on what the defense does, and obviously that's the beauty of this offense, based on what the defense does, anybody can carry the ball on any play for a big yardage or a touchdown. And we again, going back to it, inside veer is our bread and butter play. It is the play that we call probably 50% of the time, and it gives us an opportunity to make the defense sit still, to let our kids know where we're going and what they're doing, and on any given play, anybody can carry it. It makes the defensive end react to what is happening in front of him. It slows down his charge. And in our conference, and in most conferences across the nation, whether it be junior high to college, they're always going to put their best pass rusher at defensive end because they see so much spread offense. You have to have that guy that can just go sack the quarterback. And those are the guys that we try to attack because they attack upfield so much, it gets everybody on the rest of the defense out of sorts. So it really slows down a great pass rusher because now he has to react and be a dive player, and if he's not, then our fullbacks should have a good day. It gives you a play that attacks all parts of the defense, from inside the tackle to right outside the tight end, all the way to the edge with your slots if you get the ball pitched. Again, we're trying to attack the defense wherever they want us to attack them. If they don't want to tackle the dive, then we'll give it to our fullback all day. If they want to try and make our quarterback run it, then we'll let him run it all day. And so it's not a situation where we go into a game saying, well, we really think our fullback's going to have a big day today. It just depends on what the defense wants to do. Hard for them to stop all of it if we're clicking on all cylinders. And then last, and for us most important, if we run it well, it really keeps the defense from blitzing from all over the place. And with all the exotic blitzes and different things that you see to try and stop the spread and to try and get into and sack the quarterback, running the option really keeps the defense from running all the exotic stuff. Now, you're going to see some edge blitzes and you'll see some inside blitzes and things like that, but those are all things that you should be working on a daily basis. It's the bring the free safety in the A gap and different blitzes like that we don't typically see anymore, because it gets players out of position and doesn't give the defense a chance to stop what we're trying to do. Again, like the midline, we'll give you some basic concepts of what the inside veer is. Again, in the next video, we'll go into the specific blocking schemes of each position. But really, the quarterback's going to read the first man on or outside the offensive tackle. And what that does, again, we're attacking a different player. The quarterback now pitches, if he pulls the football, now pitches off the first man outside the defensive end. And that's really how we teach it. You're going to read the defensive end, you're going to pitch off the first man that shows, whether it's a scrape linebacker, whether it's an outside linebacker in a 4-4 defense, a stand-up defensive end in some type of 50 defense. That's going to be your pitch key. As an offense, the first 2 years we ran the play, we always tried to check it to the A-gap player. Always tried to run it to the open bubble. And what we found out this year, by running the play wherever it was called, it did two things for us. Again, eliminated a little bit of the thinking from the offensive line, because we're not checking the play. So when they break the huddle, they know where the play's going and they know exactly who to block on that play. And it also gave us an opportunity to double team some people, to cause some piles where our fullback can kind of hide in there a little bit, break it one way or another based on what the linebacker does. And we really saw some big gains from our fullback because the linebacker either couldn't get over the top of the double team, or he got over the top of the double team and we were able to cut it back up inside. In an ideal situation, if you run the play to the A-gap defender, you have a bigger bubble, but there is still potential for big plays even if you do run it to a B-gap defender. It gets all your backs involved. Now the slots aren't just carrying out a fake, or the fullback's not just carrying out a fake. They actually think that they could get the ball on every single play. So it gives us the opportunity to get the ball to anybody, depending on what the defense wants to do. Okay, so from inside veer to midline, we've have our A gap and our B gap option plays. Now to the outside veer, which is a play that we added after our first year. And with my brother being the offensive coordinator, we've gone back and forth, and we do that every now and then about the pros and cons of running this play. I came from a split back veer offense, so running the outside veer in my college days was something that was just part of what we did. With the fullback directly behind the quarterback, it makes it a little bit of a tough angle, but after we worked out some of the details and some of the kinks, we feel that it's really been a beneficial play for us. Again, the outside veer gives you that C-gap option play for teams that like to play, the C-gap defender. Teams that'll reduce down in a 4-man front, or 50 defense teams that really, you now can attack that. It's a triple option play, again, that utilizes all your backfield players. Everybody's involved. Only your play side slot's now a blocker. So your quarterback, your fullback, or your backside slot that's going in motion could be a ball carrier on any given play. What we have found out with that is that this is probably one of the hardest plays to defend, just because of the players that we're attacking. You can teach your inside, as a defensive coach, you can teach your inside tackle to come down on the midline, and you can teach your defensive end to come down on the dive on the inside veer. But it's really hard for you to teach that stand-up defensive end or that outside linebacker type player to come down and tackle the dive. And we really have had a lot of success giving the football to our fullback on this play. Number 3, it makes the outside linebacker react and do something he doesn't normally do, which is what I was trying to get at. He now has to tackle the dive instead of be a quarterback player every single time. And then it gives you a great play against 50 front teams. And that we have seen defenses evolve from the four down because of so much spread offense back to the 50 front defenses, the head up nose and things like that. And we really felt that adding this play for 50 front defenses gave us a huge advantage to be able to tackle a player that doesn't normally have to tackle the dive and things like that. Again, just some basic concepts. The quarterback now reads the first man on or outside the tight end, which is usually an outside linebacker or a stand-up defensive end of some kind. And now he pitches off the first man that shows outside of his handoff key. As we'll talk about later, we call that a mush situation, where he can really, once he makes a read, if the defensive end or the outside linebacker comes down and tackles the dive, now he can get out of the mesh and really accelerate to the edge, knowing that the next person that shows he can pitch off of because we have everybody else blocked. Against 50 defenses, it utilizes a double team from the tight end and tackle. And the reason that I put that in there is I really think that, you know, going back to the extreme pass rusher, the guy that can really get off the ball and do things, he's usually not your more heavy-legged type player. He's a skill player is what we consider those guys. And anytime that you feel that you can get, you know, 250 and 220 pound tight end, you know, hip to hip, shoulder to shoulder, double team in a skill type player, you really feel that you can get some movement and really gain an advantage in that gap. So we like to utilize that, and you'll even see in film a little later that we'll trade our tight end to those guys and give ourselves a situation where we can do some of those things. There's no need to check it against a 50 defense. It's good to either side as long as you have to run it to the tight end. You can't run it to an open end with no tight end there. It just doesn't work unless your tackle's really good at blocking those DNs. And right now we don't feel that we can do that. And I'm not going to suggest that. Counter option. Why we run the counter option? Again, it gives you a double option play that attacks the edge of the defense. It gives you a counter play versus hard flow defenses, and I mentioned that early on. That's why we do it. Sure, you can run false motions and things like that and get the defensive linebackers and the secondary guys to take a couple steps. But when you run true counter action in the backfield, you can really see that defenses almost overflow. And now you have such good angles on them that you're creating great separation and great opportunities for big plays back away from the counter. It's great against hard flow defenses. So many defensive coaches now, you see them coaching, and it's run to the ball, run to the ball, run to the ball, run to the ball. Well, just by adding counter option to your offensive playbook, now they can't coach that, because now if they run, and you counter them back the other way, there's a chance that they won't have anybody standing out there to tackle you. The other reason to run counter option is it's only one read for your quarterback. The other three plays that we've talked about have at least two reads for your quarterback, with the midline, inside veer, and outside veer. There's only one read. He's going to make a fake in the backfield, he's going to reverse out of it, and he's only looking for his pitch key. That's the only thing that he has to try and find, and then he is responsible for that pitch key. If that pitch key sinks or gets lost in the mess, now he knows where he's at. If that pitch key blitzes off the edge, he is also responsible for him at that point in time. So he needs to be ready to get rid of the football and give himself an opportunity to get soft and really try not to take a big hit. And it's a great play against any defense. We've talked about, midline, try and run it to the 3 technique and inside veer and things like that. This play is a great play against any defensive front, and it's especially good against defenses that really like to run to the football and overreact to fakes. The basic concepts of this is the fullback and the quarterback will fake the inside veer action away from the call, and the play side slot will go in false motion, allowing great blocking angles. Okay, so we're really selling inside veer away from the call. All right, so we're going to bring, if we're going to run the play over here, we're going to bring this slot in motion. We're going to fake it over here, and at the snap of the ball, now he's going to run back out and make the block, and our backside slot now is going to go when the ball snapped. But it really creates a false action for the defense. The quarterback will pitch off the first man lined up outside the defensive end. So whether we have a tight end in the game or if we run it to the open side, we're always going to try and block the defensive end. So we're always going to try and pitch it off of the next man that shows outside the defensive end. With a tight end in the game, that defensive end may be standing on the line. With no tight end in the game, that guy can be off the ball or he could be anywhere. That's why it's important for the quarterback to recognize where his pitch key is. The play side backer will block, the play side tackle will block the play side linebacker, and the backside guard will pull and log the defensive end. All right, so we're going to pull a guard on this play. He's going to try and get his helmet and his shoulder pad on the outside hip of the defensive end and get him turned to the inside. And now we're trying to get a free shot on the play side backer with our tackle. The quarterback in the slots will attack the edge of the defense. Again, the quarterback, once he realizes where his pitch key is, attack the pitch key, all right? Give the slot an opportunity to get in good pitch relationship, and when the pitch key attacks, let the ball go, and hopefully you have good angles on everybody. So that's the basic concepts of the counter option. Great play against hard flow defenses. The rocket sweep, and this is a play that, if you watch the Georgia Techs and the Navies, this is the play that all double slot option coaches want to know about. How do you run this play successfully? Because we have a really good slot and we need to try and get him the ball. And for us, it's a play that's been met with a lot of success. And it gives us a chance to get the ball on the edge. And really the reasons that we're running this is it gives your quarterback a playoff. He's not running any of the option plays. It really gives him a chance to catch his breath if he's run the ball 4 or 5 times in a row, or he's taken a big hit and you think, I may need to give him a play here to get his bearings or to catch his breath a little bit. It gives your quarterback a physical playoff, a physical break. It gives you an opportunity to get the ball in the hands of your slots. And sometimes defenses are going to say, we're not going to let them get the ball pitched on inside veer, outside veer. We're going to take that guy away from them. And this play gives you the opportunity to get the ball in their hands, out in space, with an opportunity to make a big play. It forces the edge of the defense without running an option play. Basically, this play is telling the defense, we're running this thing to the edge no matter what. No matter what defense you're lined up in, we're going to try and get the ball to the edge. And so it does force the edge, and it makes them be a full flow defense. It utilizes an offensive line that can run and block defenders on the second level. We talked about earlier the inferior offensive lineman theory. Again, we all know those guys aren't inferior. They're the best players on our team, and if they're not, we're going to be in trouble. But if you have an offensive line as a junior high coach or a high school coach that can really run to the ball, or really run and get out and block people and get good leverage on people, then this is a great play to run. The basic concepts of the sweep or the toss, the quarterback will reverse out and toss the ball to the motion slot. And we toss that thing way out there. We toss that thing at least to the tackle, if not a little wider. The fullback will go opposite, and for defenses that their linebackers are reading the fullback, that gives you just the extra second to get your offensive lineman up on those backers, because they'll read him, take that false step before they realize what's going on, and now you have the angle on him. He'll go opposite and block the defensive end. The play side slot will arc and block the corner. He always goes and blocks the corner. Doesn't matter what coverage they have, he always is to the corner. Receivers will block the play side safety, the play side high safety. If it's a play side down safety, then we'll try and crack him. But if it's a high safety, we'll go try and get him. The play side offensive tackle and guard will block the first man to their outside gap. So, for example, if there's a 3 technique or an outside shoulder player, he's not trying to block him, he's trying to get to the next man outside. all right? And now our tackle's trying to get clear to the outside to pick up any scrape backer or any backside safety. The offensive tackle will block the play side linebacker, and offensive guard will block the play side DN. All other offensive linemen will block their play side gap to the second level. We're throwing that thing out there so wide that we don't really feel that anybody inside or backside are really even going to be a threat to tackle us for anything less than a 7, 8, 10-yard gain.